All right, so now we're going to talk about the Taurus-Scorpio axis. Now, Taurus is the second house, Scorpio is the eighth house, and they are directly opposite each other in a personality and the house system. And so if you are a Scorpio or ENFP sun or Mercury, I put the Mercury in the ego. That's a whole different video. But if you are a sun sign Scorpio, your Earth, which is not talked about in astrology, it is in human design. Your Earth sign is what grounds your ego or sun sign. So you need to be aware of the dynamics between your polar opposite personality in order to ground yourself. So the axis of manifestation and transformation. Every axis in astrology is a tension bridge, but Taurus Scorpio is the most primal, evolutionary, and psychologically charged of all. And I know I'm going to side tangent just for a second, but we are in the age of Aquarius, and the actual spine of the age of Aquarius is the Taurus Scorpio axis. And so collectively, it's extremely important that we are all embodying the Taurus Scorpio, that we are very aware of what this axis is, because Age of Aquarius is all about information, intellectualism, and networking. It's a very higher minded type of age. And in order to ground all of ourselves in this age, we have to understand this axis. And it's extremely important for Scorpios individually as well. All right, so it is the axis that governs survival versus thriving, power versus pleasure, trauma versus healing, shadow versus integration, death and rebirth, value and wealth, and desire and embodiment. Taurus and Scorpio mirror one another like two ends of the same nervous system. They don't oppose each other, they complete each other. Taurus stabilizes what Scorpio transforms. Scorpio uproots what Taurus becomes comfortable with. They are opposite signs, but they are not enemies. They are magnetic counterparts, each holding the missing half of the other's evolution. Together, they represent the cycle of survival, desire, intimacy, money, and self worth. This axis rules trauma and healing, sexuality and devotion, money psychology and money embodiment, the death of the old identity and rebirth of worth, attachment patterns and boundary patterns. This is the magnetic pulse of your entire life path. How you evolve, shed, surrender, rebuild, accumulate, and embody. They form the life, death, rebirth circuit. So Taurus is a stabilizer, earth, yin, body, and value. So we're talking about earth versus water here, personality-wise. So Taurus teaches embodiment. It is the part of the psyche that says, I deserve, I have value, I am safe in my body, I create stability, beauty, and abundance. Taurus is self-worth made physical. It is wealth consciousness rooted in nervous system regulation. Healthy Taurus traits. We have peaceful, calm, grounded, healthy boundaries, knows their value, slow, deliberate decisions, stewardship of resources, pleasure without addiction, connection to nature and the senses. The shadow of Taurus is possessiveness, comfort, addiction, stagnation, and refusal to change, low self-worth and overgiving, avoidance of deep emotions. Taurus is where we receive, rest, rebuild, and grow roots. Taurus represents what you value, how you stabilize, how you receive, how you embody abundance, how you create self-worth, and how you build a life of comfort, beauty, and pleasure. In Taurus, we learn grounding, embodiment, resource management, patience, sensual awareness, money attraction rather than money chasing. Taurus stores, protects, and builds. Taurus is the queen's domain, where you learn to receive without collapsing and nurture without overgiving. Shadow Taurus, we have complacency, hoarding, fear of loss, stubborn attachment, emotional stagnation, comfort, addiction, and avoiding transformation. Scorpio, the transformer, water, yang, masculine, shadow, and power. Scorpio teaches transformation. It is the part of the psyche that says, I evolve, I face the truth, I destroy what weakens me, and I merge, bond, and commit. Scorpio is the emotional alchemist, the force that burns away illusion. Healthy Scorpio traits: strategist, passionate, bonded, and loyal, sensitive to the unseen, depth, intensity, and truth, shadow mastery, psychological intelligence. Scorpio shadow, control or manipulation, fear of abandonment, obsession, and jealousy, using power to avoid vulnerability, emotional secrecy. Scorpio is where we purge, cut cords, reveal truth, and transform identity. Scorpio represents what must die, what must transform, where you hold power, where you fear losing control, your hidden desires, your capacity for depth, devotion, and alchemy. In Scorpio, we must learn shadow work, emotional courage, depth, intimacy, psychological honesty, energetic boundaries, and the dismantling of false identity. Scorpio burns, Scorpio purifies, and Scorpio resurrects. Scorpio is the king's domain, where you learn to lead without force and protect without domination. Shadow Scorpio is obsession, paranoia, jealousy, emotional manipulation, self destruction, power games, and fear of vulnerability. The axis itself, a shared nervous system. Taurus and Scorpio are not opposites, they are two halves of the same psychological mechanism. Think of it this way: Scorpio removes what is dead, Taurus stabilizes what remains. Scorpio transforms identity, Taurus grounds the new identity. Scorpio burns the field, and Taurus replants it. This is why this axis rules sexuality, money, intimacy, body, memory, trauma, healing, manifestation, emotional bonding, and safety and desire. When one half is unbalanced, the other becomes distorted. Example: if Scorpio is overactive, Taurus collapses into insecurity. If Taurus is overactive, Scorpio collapses into fear of loss. Shadow axis. Shadow Taurus queen wounded. Overgiving, people pleasing, material clinging, fear of change, emotional numbing, seeking love through comfort and addiction, avoiding conflict at any cost. Scorpio king wounding. Power games, emotional manipulation, jealousy and paranoia, destroying before understanding, using intensity as a weapon, needing control to feel safe, sexuality used to dominate or escape. Shadow Taurus hides from the truth. Shadow Scorpio obsesses over truth until it destroys them. Together, Shadow Taurus and Scorpio can produce toxic bonding, trauma cycles, attachment wounds, financial instability, sexual addictions, and emotional entanglement. Integrated axis, the sovereign. When Taurus and Scorpio are integrated, the king Scorpio cuts what drains life, protects the realm, leads with integrity, transforms fear into power, demands depth, devotion, and authenticity. The queen Taurus nurtures what must grow, strengthens the foundation, brings beauty and value, stabilizes the emotional field, and channels abundance and sensuality. Together, he purifies, she manifests. He sets boundaries, she sets the tone. He transforms the inner world, and she builds the outer world. This is the formula for emotional mastery, embodied power, wealth creation, relational magnetism, sexual sovereignty, and identity evolution. When integrated, they form the psychological state of the sovereign, king, and queen united. Taurus teaches Scorpio how to calm down, and Scorpio teaches Taurus how to wake up. Taurus stabilizes Scorpio's intensity, and Scorpio deepens Taurus's comfort. Taurus builds a container, and Scorpio purifies the energy within it. Taurus attracts wealth, and Scorpio multiplies it. Taurus represents the body and embodiment, and Scorpio represents the soul and transformation. Together, they form the axis of wealth magnetism, where value meets power, the axis of sexual alchemy, where desire meets devotion, the axis of shadow work, where trauma meets healing, and the axis of self-worth, where stability meets truth. They are opposite signs, but like magnets, the polarity creates the power. The royal union, king and queen, the integrated human. When the Scorpio king and the Taurus queen archetypes unite within you, you stop chasing, you start magnetizing, you stop fearing loss, you start cultivating power. You are cultivating value, excuse me. You stop performing power. You embody sovereignty. The king, Scorpio, clears what blocks your destiny, and the queen, Taurus, nourishes what aligns with your destiny. The full integration looks like this: king, masculine or yang, discipline, powerful but not dominating, strategic, protective, emotionally responsible, truth holding, and legacy building. The queen, yin or feminine, magnetic, receptive but not passive, nurturing without self erasure, abundant, grounded, creative, and stabilizing. Integrated together, they create the sovereign, your highest form: wealth, depth, intimacy, embodiment, power, and purpose. The polarity, why they need each other. The Taurus Scorpio axis is the engine of evolution. Taurus without Scorpio equals stagnation, fear of change, attachment, comfort, addiction, and materialism. Scorpio without Taurus equals chaos, emotional drowning, obsessive intensity, self-destruction, and disembodiment. When united, they create magnetic embodiments. The sovereign who feels deeply, Scorpio, without losing center, Taurus, receives pleasure, Taurus, without collapsing, Scorpio integration, wields power, Scorpio, without domination, Taurus integration, holds boundaries, Scorpio, while staying open, Taurus, and builds wealth, Taurus, that transform destiny, Scorpio. This is a sacred marriage of yin and yang.